Hello everyone, Yuri Kasdorp here, and we are here for week 7 VRS at Magny Cours. First time the GT3s are here, and as you can see by this intro screen, it's quite a rough ride. Very interesting how to take the chicanes, very interesting as well in a couple corners how to keep the speed up. It's a very tricky small track, it's a lot of fun to drive. Let's see how it is to race, but first of all let's see how it is to do a hot lap in. Let's go. Right, here we are, start of the lap. Lovely new track. If you're following the GT3 schedule, this will be the first time you're driving this track. And you'll see that a lot of these corners here, a lot of time to gain is in the chicanes. And the first chicane coming up already is the one here, starting the lap. And you kind of just straight line it. And the car will handle it. You just have to trust that the car will handle. You can run all the way to the right side here. Make sure the first two corners are almost flat. And send it quite deep into here. And get the long run up to turn the hairpin. You want to look at the 100 marker on the left, brake just before that. And then another full sand chicane coming up. This one's a bit tricky, because the rear wants to step out an entry here. Tricky here on the entry as well. If you're going too fast, the rear will want to step out. Another chicane coming up. This one as well, try to keep the speed up here. But keep it to the inside on the exit. And coming up to the last sector here. Want to be braking at the 100 mark on the left again. And then try to hit the chicane. And that's a lap around Magny Cours. As you can see, that last chicane is quite something. Right, so here we are starting the lap. As you can see already, we're running all the way on the right side here. I'm not sure why this is allowed, but this is allowed. I think the left two tires need to be on this part of the curb. Meaning you can run all the way wide here, and if you're allowed to run all the way wide, we will run all the way wide, because then we can take turn 1 and turn 2 almost flat. You can take it flat technically, I think, but it doesn't gain you enough to actually be worth it, because you're asking a lot from the right front tire then. And just having a small lift will help the car rotate and just make the second apex a lot easier. You want to build all the way to the left here, and then very slow inputs. You want to carry quite a lot of speed into the right hander because it's such a long corner. So small inputs and kind of let the car run wide and then slowly back into the power. But too quickly back into the power, the car will start to understeer a bit. And then exit here is actually tricky with the off track, because here you can't run too wide at all. You got the long backstraight coming up. Then just short line and then a very tight hairpin. And what I like to do is, instead of looking at the 100 marker on the left side there, let's go from the cockpit cam. Instead of looking at the 100 marker, which is very far off and kind of out of my peripheral vision, I try to look at these lines on the left side here. So I see this first line here at the 200, then I know I've got one line to go, and before the second line I start braking. So past the second line, and then I spot this line here. It's at the 100 board, but I look at this line and I try to brake like in the middle of line 150 and 100. Maybe a bit closer to the 100, depending as well on how much wing you're running and stuff like that. The corner, brake all the way to the left. Try to set the corner up here for a good exit. Again, very tight. And you can run all the way on the left here, again, quite wide on the curb. And then we get to what I think is the trickiest corner on the track. Because this is so fast, you want to brake a tiny bit here at the end while you're turning already, and that's gonna make the rear very, very unstable. So again, small inputs here, both on the steering wheel and your throttle and brake, will make the car a bit more controllable. And immediately back into the power, we'll put a bit of weight back on the rear axle, which will help the rear stability when you hit this curb. You want to be on the throttle, I think, at least a bit when you hit this curb to keep the car stable. And running all the way on the left here, you have to keep these right side tires on the track, otherwise you're gonna get a slowdown, which is gonna be very hard to clear with the corner coming up immediately. Run to the right side here, and then from the cockpit cam, I kind of use the end of this curve as a reference because there's no real reference around the track here where to brake. So I brake a bit before the end of the curve. And then again, because we're turning and braking at the same time here, we can't brake that hard. So you come off the brakes quite a lot immediately, and then just try to carry a bit of speed into the corner. And just very, very slowly, you see small inputs when we're turning a lot, and slowly get the car to accelerate again. On the exit here again, you can use a lot of the curb on the right side here without getting it off track. And then again, I think this is the second hardest call on the track. I brake just before this white line here, keep it in fourth. And again, small inputs here will keep the car stable. Get the car to the right side. Not quite on this orange curb, but close to it, to make sure you open up the left-hander. And you can use a lot of curb on the left side here. Run quite wide over this. I think even with the right side tires, if you touch this curb, it's still fine. And you want to do that to make sure that you're setting up for the next very tight right-hander from the left here. And I brake just before this curb ends. So the curve is a bit wider here and goes narrower. Just before it goes narrower, I try to brake. In the car to the right side, slightly miss the apex there. We got the last section. And again, I want to brake at the 100 sign and then look at the white lines for that. Bring the car over to the left. Just about to avoid the curb there. I was understeering a bit. You want to keep a bit closer to the track, I think. But again, this is not an off track. You can run all the curb that you want on the left side here. And then the last chicane. It feels like you just want to send it. Like the whole car, as you can see, just flies in the air. It just flies in the air and you just hope that you aim your car right here so that you don't take too much of the left-hand curb. So from in the cockpit cam, you come over from the outside and then you aim the car and it's kind of a rallycross jump. And you try to aim your car so that it's facing towards this. If you go too far to the left side on the second curb, you're going to get a slowdown. So you aim the car here and then keep it fairly straight here, and then you can even touch the grass on the right side here without getting it off track. So I'll show that from the cockpit cam one more time. Try to aim the car straight and then just run over it, and it shouldn't give you any damage if you do it like this. If you look at the car's still fine. It's gonna make sounds that maybe will sound like the car's falling apart, but I think the car will stay just fine. Then again, from this here, just want to run it straight, and then we want to run it on the right side again. So that's a very interesting lap around Magny Cours. I wish everyone good luck for the week. Right, so that's the lap around the new Magny Cours track in iRacing in the Audi GT3 RS. Quite tricky, a lot of fun to hot lap in. Hope you guys learned something. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and we will see you guys next week.